What's up, Team No T, and welcome back to Unwrapped, our own news. And yeah, this is a faceless video, so I guess that lets you know I look like complete and utter shit today, and I will not be gracing this camera or cursing it, whichever way you want to look at it, with my appearance. But there are some things that we need to talk about. And yeah, I'm been missing because if I tried to cover every single thing that goes on in this administration, I would never, ever finish recording. That's just how much stuff is going on with this administration. And I've given up. You guys know how I feel. I'm going on a side rant. This is not where I sat down to talk about, but here we are. Y'all know how I feel. We got to continue to fight, push, do whatever we can to make it painfully obvious to even to those people who are in complete and utter denial that this administration is anything but normal. And I have to say this and I have to keep telling myself, I've got a friend who continuously wants to kind of gaslight me into believing that Reagan was this bad, that Bush was this bad, that Obama was this bad. Yes, this is the person who doesn't care. Anybody can get it. He does not have a party affiliation, which, that's kind of admirable. That's an admirable trait. But when you attempt to say that any of those presidents has gone as far as this monster, oh, happy Halloween, as this monster that we have in the White House right now, well, you got to be trying to gaslight me, and I can't take it. I had gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm not even going to talk politics to anybody anymore because these people truly have to be living with blinders on to not be able to see what's happening. But then I say, if I don't do my due diligence to reach at least one person, if one person can say, hey, I listened to this lady and she was talking about something, and you know what? She's right. If one person can say that, I have done something, I've accomplished something. So I say, I can't stop talking about it, but I ain't about to drive myself crazy either. But anywho, I said all of that. We know where the SNAP situation is. The SNAP is food stamps, what we used to call food stamps. And we know that there are going to be a lot of hungry people in November. We also know that the current president is tearing down the White House one room at a time. We know this. Um, we can't fight those things. Those are battles. We can make our voices heard, right? But those are battles that are going to have to be fought by the people that we have put in the positions to do that kind of fighting, which is we need to stay on our senators and our representatives and the judicial system. We need to stay on their ass to do their part. We're letting them know that we're not okay with it. And now it's time for y'all to do y'all part. So, where I was going with that, I don't have a clue. I wanted to talk to you, though, about Nancy Mace. Hey, South Carolina, y'all need to get her the hell out of y'all Congress. Y'all need to vote her out. This lady is nuts. She's crazy, y'all. So I'm reading a Wired article, and it's talking about how Nancy Mace behaved yesterday, October 30th, at the Charleston International Airport. So, anywho, Nancy Mace, according to an incident report obtained by Wired, and I'm reading this right out of the article, um, Mace cursed at police officers, made repeated derogatory comments toward those police officers. TSA supervisor at that airport told officers that Nancy Mace had treated their staff quite similarly, cursing and making derogatory comments towards them, and that they were going to report her to their supervisors. Now, if this was a normal, everyday, tax-paying citizen, they'd be put on a no-fly list. I wonder if that's what they're going to do with Nancy. Anywho, according to the report, Officers with the Charleston County Aviation Authority Police Department were tasked with meeting Mace at 6:30 a.m. to escort her from the curb to her flight and had been told that she would be waiting in a white BMW at the ticketing curb area. So around 6:35, the report says, they were told she was running late. They never saw the car arrive. So shortly before 7, dispatch told the officers that Mace was at the entrance for the known crew member program, a trusted access lane with a smaller checkpoint overseen by the TSA and intended for flight crew members. Now, when officers quickly located her, this is according to a supplemental incident report, the Congresswoman began immediately loudly cursing and making derogatory comments about us to the department, they said. She repeatedly stated we were fucking incompetent, and this is in no way, this is no way to treat a fucking U.S. representative. So these officers still did their job. They still took her over to her gate, and she saw a South Carolina Senate colleague, and she decided, hey, I'm going to talk about this. She said we would never treat Tim Scott like this. Never. So the entire walk to gate B8, which is where she was taken off from, she was cursing and complaining, getting on her phone, talking about them, cursing and complaining. Now, in the main incident report, an officer noted that Mace was yelling into her phone, either on a phone call or dictating text messages. After standing in the vicinity of B8 for several minutes with her continuing her tirade, she finally boarded the aircraft. Get her the F out of here. So, flight takes off. American Airlines gate agent approached the officers, and he was still in disbelief regarding her behavior. He could not believe that a U.S. representative would be acting in the manner that she acted. These people were upset, as they should be. They're there to do a job. The person who was not at the place where they were supposed to be was Nancy Mace, and she goes on a verbal tirade against these people for her own incompetence. But does it seem out of place for people, these Republicans who are basically enabling Trump in his dictatorial kind of takeover of our government? Does it sound out of place? This is who these people are. And again, for anybody gets on here, I'm not talking about all Republicans. Republicans are a thing. MAGA Republicans are something else. And then there are Democrats, and then there are the far right. We know that they are extremes to anything, and MAGA is the extreme right now. There is nothing normal about the way these people comport themselves. And if you, yeah, if you come here and try to make me feel as if I am putting uh, behaviors, thoughts, or traits on these people that don't exist, you go back in history. Yeah, go back as far as we can go back, and you show me another U.S. representative who behaved like this in the TSA era of flights. So you know there was an era before TSA, and you didn't have to worry about that because you go straight to your plane from wherever you were. I'm talking about in the TSA era. You tell me when you saw behavior like this. Give me the example. You can stitch a video. You tag me in something. Show me an example of this. Show me an example of a president in the modern era tearing down portions of the White House without congressional approval. Show me that. Show me an example of the Speaker of the House of Representatives holding the US population hostage and our government holding it hostage because you don't want to swear somebody in because they'll vote to release some files. Show me that. We can go back to Watergate. They didn't pull this bullshit when Richard Nixon was guilty of what he was guilty of. They didn't pull this stuff to say, oh, they're going to get the votes to get him out of there. We better hold on with both hands. They didn't do that. Didn't do that with Clinton when he was facing impeachment for the Lewinsky stuff. They didn't say, let's shut down the government. Didn't do that. They're doing it for this guy. You have to ask yourself why. But anywho, that's your homework before you jump in my comments trying to fix my thinking. That's your homework. Show me some examples. Show me some examples of the brazen disregard for the American people by an entire subsection of the government, the MAGA right. Show me that. And until you can, don't come over here trying to poke the bear because you don't want it with me. Because there's a difference between me and you disagreeing and me being disrespected or being disrespectful. I ain't gonna disrespect you. I will challenge your thinking. And I expect the same courtesy over here. But anywho, so we done talked about Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace is absolutely positively nuts. Absolutely positively nuts. She did make a statement. Her statement was on X. She addressed part of the story writing for the fake news. This is the entrance all members of Congress use at the airport. Are you going to write that Senators Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott use the same entrance or no? Or no. She wrote or no twice. um yeah. Any other person acting like her, talking the way that she did, they would address the behavior. She would be on a no-fly list. I promise you. If it was a regular citizen, and why should she be treated any differently than us? And who the fuck does she think she is to abuse the people who are assisting her? So that's my news for today. I don't have anything else. Be safe. Have a happy Halloween if you do that kind of thing. If not, keep your sanity, y'all. I'll be back when I got something else or something else I want to talk about because this is wild. This is a wild ride we're on. I'll holler at you guys next time. Peace.